Well, a lot of us are way too familiar with them. We're talking about those annoying robocalls that keep reaching our phones, sometimes daily.
So can you do anything to truly stop them? Fox 4's Haley Rush found out.
Robocalls are not made by an actual person, but generated by a computer, which is why you can get so many. But believe it or not, robocalls were down in 2020, but they are making a comeback, which is why we spoke with a tech expert about how you can get fewer calls. In 2020, robocalls dropped by 22% in the U.S., according to the blocking and tracking service YouMail.
Last year, the main reason that robocalls declined was the pandemic.
Octavio Blanco is a technology reporter with Consumer Reports. He says when someone answers a robocall and doesn't hang up but engages with it, a real person eventually comes on the line.
The pandemic really impacted the ability of robocallers to pick up the phone because call centers, especially call centers overseas, had to shut down.
But even with this past year's decline, people still received nearly 46 billion spam calls. And Blanco says they're only expected to increase as pandemic restrictions ease up.
What are some different things someone can do to stop robocalls from coming in?
The main thing that a consumer can do to stop robocalls from coming in is don't answer robocalls.
Blanco says if you answer a robocall, it often generates more calls.
Second thing that you could do is you can download a robocall blocker from the Apple Store or from Google Play.
He says phone carriers have also gotten better about providing anti-robocall tools, and you usually don't have to do anything to get it.
Actually, a lot of the phone providers are now sending their users messages that say suspected spam or suspected fraud. And so if you see those, obviously you don't want to answer those.
And a more drastic option, setting up your phone to only allow calls from people in your contacts list. But Blanco says it's not a perfect solution.
Because say, for example, that you are visiting a doctor, a new doctor, and you're expecting a phone call back, and that phone number isn't contained in your contacts list, then that number will get blocked.
He says no matter what, if you get a robocall, report it.
Because there are lists being kept by regulators as to what numbers are bad. And so those lists are sort of like the starting point that a lot of the robocall blocking apps and others use to be able to say, okay, no, this call is on the bad numbers list, so we're automatically going to block it.
Blanco says a lot of these calls are illegal, like spam calls, but some are allowed. He says the general rule is if you have a business relationship with the company calling, then it is legal. For more information on how to block these calls, you can head on over to kptv.com. Haley Rush, Fox 12 Oregon.